Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of VENDO Velocity. I'm very excited for, I think, the first feature on VENDO Velocity of our VP of Advertising here, Gefen, Laredo. I've been at VENDO almost 3 years now, and I remember before joining the VENDO team, I would watch the podcast, and Gefen was someone who actually led me to VENDO just based on the level of knowledge that he had and really just his expertise in the industry. So I don't think I've told him that yet, but I'm very excited to be sharing the stage here with Gefen and really for you guys to understand and pick his brain a little bit on multi-channel advertising and just the broad offering that VENDO has here. But before we dive into our topic for the day, I will let Gefen introduce himself further.
I don't know if I could top that. That was an unbelievable intro. And you've never told me that. That's really cool. No, that was back when we just had it as a simple podcast. We were hopping on just for fun. And now Delaney's done an unbelievable job growing it into VENDO Velocity, which I think velocity is the best word for what we're experiencing right now. Is we're just really, speed and direction is the two things that we're definitely experiencing. But yeah, as Delaney mentioned, I'm the VP of Advertising here at VENDO. Obviously, you guys know us largely as an Amazon and Walmart full service management agency. One thing that we're going to get into today is as it pertains to advertising services, we do branch out a bit wider than just those two marketplaces. Oh, did I freeze? I know we're good. Just those two marketplaces, which, we're going to talk about paid search and social. We're going to talk about the various retail media networks. We're going to talk about programmatic. All of those fronts are growing rapidly. They're getting much more interconnected and intertwined. So very excited to dive in.
Absolutely. And Gefen mentioned a lot there just as far as what advertising really encompasses and what he oversees here at VENDO. So we're going to take a dive into a few of those things, but really want to give you guys a glimpse into what our multi-channel advertising approach really looks like. So Gefen, of course, starting off with a pretty loaded question here. But when you're dealing with platforms like Amazon, like Walmart, and then including other retail marketplaces, are there unique strategies for each of those, or is it more of a holistic approach where all of those channels kind of work together and have the same overarching strategy?
Oh, no, they're different. Where they all come together is in a couple of ways, right? And I'll start with where they all come together, but no, actually, I'll start with where they're different because that's more relevant. So the reason why they're different is because the performance, not only are the functionalities different on each of these platforms, right? I mean, obviously what you're capable of doing on Meta is worlds different than what you're capable of doing on, say, Amazon. But at the end of the day, you're looking at how can we drive sales? How can we drive growth, right? And the actual performance and the KPIs that you're measuring against on these platforms is different. So one of the ways that we've kind of built the department is we've actually created specialty verticals for each of those channels, right? So usually what you might have is an ad manager at some other places where they're going to be managing your Facebook and they're going to be managing your Google and they're going to be managing your Amazon. We've actually separated that out to be a lot more focused for each of these verticals and create basically core competencies in each of them because they are different, right? Now, the reason why that's housed under one roof is because it all works up to a centralized strategy, which is the back half of your question. So, for instance, we might have a ROAS-based approach, strictly ROAS-based approach on, say, Amazon ads, and then maybe an awareness-based with ROAS involved on something like Meta or something like DSP. But then when we're presenting to brands or when we're reporting to brands, all of that works up towards a centralized strategy, right? And so essentially at the end of the day, it's how much are you spending on ads and what are you driving, right? And so we have brands that run, with all 5 of our ad verticals. And we have centralized reporting that shows them, hey, you guys are spending this much and across these verticals, this is what you're driving. And this is the actual impact on your business. And then we're able to say, Amazon has a slightly better ROAS. If you guys are more concerned with ROAS, we can funnel more budget there. Walmart's performing really well. We can move some of the budget outside of, say, Criteo and move it into Walmart. When we're managing that much and when we have the centralized reporting, we're capable of taking the differences and leaning into them as strengths.
Absolutely. No, that's a great point. And then just speaking about Amazon versus Walmart, I know this is a big question that we'll receive just in terms of the capabilities on the advertising side for each of the different retailers. Can you talk about how that's grown? And really, I know there's not a one size fits all scenario here, but if you have a full bucket of spend and you're trying to bake out a certain percentage for Amazon and maybe the rest go to Walmart, how do you recommend brands start to look at how they're diversifying their spend across retailers?
Yeah, that's a great question. If you're looking at things bundled and you're saying, you have whatever, $10,000 to spend, and where do you spend it, right? Of course, you have business goals. And there's certain aspects, I think, uh, across each of those marketplaces that would lend your hand towards one or the other. In general, as it stands right now, Walmart is rapidly expanding their capabilities. So where if you were to look at Walmart, you could say something about Amazon, but really Walmart. I mean, if you look at Walmart a year ago and Walmart today, they're vastly different, right? They've brought in a whole slew of new features. They had a lot of limitations before. For instance, you couldn't advertise on brand keywords, on other brands' keywords. Now you can. You've been able to do that on Amazon forever, right? And so Walmart has a few areas, like you can't negative target on Walmart either, but you can on Amazon. And so Walmart has had a few limitations that they're slowly getting rid of. And that is lending me more to say, hey, look at a more hybridized approach. The size and complexity and power of the Amazon algorithm will lend me to say that the majority of your budget should be going to Amazon, mainly because you get rewarded more. So you could have a 3x ROAS on Amazon and a 3x ROAS on Walmart, but the halo impact of your ads on Amazon is factored into the larger scale of your business a little bit more. You rank a little bit better. Amazon's more responsive to those metrics. And in general, you will just see some outsized gains there. Now, if you are able, and we have plenty of brands that drive a significantly higher ROAS on Walmart than they do on Amazon, then that's definitely something to consider. So if you test out that budget, let's say you start out with $2,500 to Walmart, $7,500 to Amazon, you're driving a 3x on Amazon and a 6x on Walmart, you're saying, okay, hold on. If my dollar's going twice as far there, then obviously you're going to put your money where your dollars are going further. And so that's really the caveat where if Walmart's performing better, then put it there. But to start it as a test, I would say, 70-30 type of split would be pretty recommended there.
Absolutely. And just to Gefen's point regarding Walmart ROAS, one thing that brands will often neglect is the fact that, of course, the store piece is often omitted from your overall sales.
Correct.
But you do have to factor in what you're driving Walmart in store if you have a presence there into your overall tacos ROAS calculations, because you would be surprised, especially if you sell via Walmart OPD more significantly, online pickup and delivery. There's a huge chunk of sales that you're not accounting for there.
100%. Absolutely. And that would lend the in-store piece in Walmart. That's if you are in store, right? So if you are a 1P seller and you are in store, that's where programmatic would come into play a little bit differently on the Walmart side specifically. So Walmart partners with the trade desk, as do we, and we're able to do Walmart. We're able to leverage first-party data from Walmart that can target back to in-store, right? And that's a whole different objective, right? That's not just, hey, can we spend 10 and drive 20 in sales? It's, hey, can we now drive in-store sales velocity by something like geo-targeting across our regional stores? And that's more of an awareness play. And that's, again, to my earlier point, that's also part of the power of Walmart. Like if you are in stores, there's a whole different ballgame in the way that you are looking at advertising.
Can you talk a little bit about how and where those ads will serve for Walmart DSP, Gefen?
Yeah, so partnering with the trade desk means that you partner with the largest DSP out there. And for those that don't know what DSP is, so the demand side platform is impression-based advertising. That's largely either retargeting or demographic or behavioral based targeting, basically across your internet journey. So based on the way that you behave on certain websites, whether it's clicking on certain products, whether it's liking Facebook pages, whether it's using your credit card in certain places. Brands are able through the trade desk to retarget you guys through various ad placements across websites, and those websites sell their advertising space to the trade desk, who then we buy them from as an advertiser. So let's say, for instance, you go onto Walmart, or we can use Walmart. Let's say you go onto Walmart and you visit a product detail page, and then you don't purchase, right? And then later on, you're on the New York Times, you're reading an article, you might see an ad for that product or a similar product show up maybe on a bar on the side. And that's where you might be reminded that you like that product or that you were looking at it, and it might serve as a gentle nudge in the direction of purchasing it.
Absolutely. No, that's a great point there. And then let's talk a little bit about search and social. Which brands would benefit most from implementing search and social? And specifically, let's talk about Amazon. At what point in a brand's Amazon journey is search and social something that you would recommend, maybe just even a test for, or maybe even a more significant investment?
One thing I think that's a good starting point there is we tend to lump in search and social together. I would say search, pause, and social, right? So I would say that they're two different approaches. The first, to answer the first part of your question, if you're on Amazon, I don't think there's ever a need to wait for paid search on, let's say, Google, right? Because there's really low-hanging fruit. You already have the keyword data, right? You already have all of the keyword data that you need on Amazon, especially if you've been running for some time. Test out highly specific or highly niche terms on Google that can drive back to Amazon. It's still considered external traffic. It's still ranked higher within the Amazon algorithm than internal traffic. And it will benefit your business overall, and you have a higher likelihood of conversion based on the fact that you know what works. And people do a lot of product research on Amazon, the majority, but people also do a lot of product research on Google, right? It's not like it's 70-30, it's more like 55-45. And so Google is still a powerhouse for product research. And a lot of times, I'm sure you guys have all seen it, when you were to type in a product that you're interested in on Google, the first link directs to Amazon, right? And it's not even paid. It's usually organic. So it's a very easy jump to just take the keywords that are working on Amazon and push them onto Google. Now, paid social is a little bit different. Paid social, you have a lot more, you need to be a lot more directed in what your objectives are, because it kind of is a sandbox, right? So you can have awareness plays, you can have largely text-based ads, you can have video creatives, you can have static creatives, you can have UGC, which we do run, user-generated content. There's a lot that you can bring in from a paid social perspective. And of course, Meta is different from TikTok. I know Delaney runs TikTok Shop, and we're not going to go down that rabbit hole today. However, it is a powerhouse, and we all know TikTok is a powerhouse. And so the type of creative ad does matter. And I would say to that question, that's where you need to understand what it is you're running that ad for. So on Google, pretty simple. You want to grow, you want to just boost the business on Amazon, pretty straightforward. So on something like TikTok, for instance, you can have TikTok tentpole strategies, right? Which are geared just towards tentpole events because of the amount of traffic and high likelihood of conversion driving from a TikTok post. You can have Facebook ads that are highly directed towards people who like certain pages, right? Or you can have general awareness plays. So it depends. And I would say having an agency that understands both is really important, because they're able to recommend the best strategies from both sides of that equation.
How much do you see that halo impact, Gefen, coming on to platforms like Amazon and Walmart when you're running just search alone? Is that kind of something that you feel is overestimated or overstated in terms of, yes, there is going to be a spillover to Amazon, or what are your overall thoughts there?
Well, a couple things on that. So it depends if you're just driving a general paid search or paid social strategy, there's going to be spillover. If you're driving a directed strategy back to Amazon, your landing page is actually Amazon itself. then all of that traffic is going to go there. And I think that using Amazon attribution, you can get a good gauge of, it's not perfect, but you can get a good gauge of how that performance is trending. I do tend to agree with your suggestion that that it's, if you run just a paid search strategy, right? It's not going to revolutionize your business, right? It's not like you're going to open up paid search and that's the unlock that's going to take you from 100,000 to 1 million, right? However, it is going to push your ranking in the right direction and provide support from an algorithmic perspective in ways that just your Amazon advertising will not. Paid social, specifically TikTok, specifically influencer, paid and organic, that's where we've seen brands hit major unlocks, and that's hit or miss, right? That's a higher risk, higher reward type of situation.
Absolutely. And then just in terms of the creatives, I know you touched on that a little bit, but the importance of creatives within advertising specifically is your general recommendation to have more of like a one-size-fits-all strategy. Of course, just in terms of sizing and things of that nature, we could always resize different assets, but should each sort of retailer have a different approach from a creative standpoint, or can it be replicated across retailers?
Yeah, it's a good question. For your general base level assets, right? We're not talking event specific, time specific, just your general assets. I would say one size fits all is an overstatement, but I would say it's pretty close to that, right? Where it's like, if you have a strong branded video, right? You can use, that general branded video across platforms. It's not a problem. At the same time, you're going to get, obviously everybody knows TikTok content is a whole different delivery format, right? In terms of the actual content that the creators are using, than something like an Amazon video or something like a Facebook video, right? And so in that regard, you need to be aware of the characteristics of the platform you're advertising on, so you can tailor that video, specifically video. Static assets are pretty much not one size fits all, but you can use the same static asset as long as it looks good across multiple paid social as well as DSP creatives. But with video, you need to be a little bit more specific.
That's a great point. And then my last question, because we have to ask, one of the larger topics from last year with the growing presence of ChatGPT is AI. And really, we know that AI is going to be playing a transformative role in advertising. But what I wanted to ask you, Gefen, is specifically, let's talk about Walmart and Amazon and how transformative do you see that really being? And what specific AI-driven approaches have you found most effective in enhancing campaign performance and overall engagement through ads?
Well, I'll actually pivot to the AI that the marketplaces they themselves are using. And I'll talk about creatives on Amazon, and I'll talk about keyword-based AI on Walmart. So on Amazon, you'll have a generative creative AI, right? So for your headline search ads, you can have Amazon make really good creatives for you with just typing it in and telling them what to do, right? So if you have a product, let's say a men's hygiene product, you can tell Amazon, hey, put this product on a bathroom counter with other men's hygiene products, make it, boho modern, and have a shower in the background. And then it will do that, and it will look good. And that has saved a lot of time, because you can just pump out creatives, and Amazon is restructuring their sponsored brand and sponsored display functionalities to allow, or UIs to allow multiple creatives to test, almost like Facebook has been doing for years. So now you can test a lot more creatives on the Amazon side. The Walmart side, now we're looking at some interesting things as it pertains to search, where Walmart is experimenting, or people are talking about, and this isn't just Walmart, it's other platforms as well, grouping keywords inside a smarter AI. So for instance, let's say you have a dip brand, right? Like chips and dip, and you have your index for all of these keywords, chips and dip, party snacks, etc. And if someone types in, say, Super Bowl on Walmart.com, then the keywords that you're bidding on, let's say chips and dip, you'll still bid on under that umbrella. And so Walmart's looking to get a little bit smarter in the way that they generalize these keywords and can relate. I don't know if you would consider that AI. I know that they are using AI to do that. It's really just mapping in the back end. But you're going to start seeing from a keyword basis, smarter, not just smarter recommendations, but smarter ads coming from more generalized searches.
That's a great point. And then specifically AI, when we're talking about optimizing campaigns, I know that you have quite the stance on this as well.
Yeah.
But what have you seen, Gefen? I know we have a lot of brands that come over to Vendo who have maybe been using some sort of AI software in the past, but what have you seen there?
Yeah, so for those that don't know, Vendo does a full manual management of ads. We don't use any AI software. We like to coin the term AI is actual intelligence at Vendo, not artificial intelligence. And our stance, and we've tested, not only have we tested and demoed and beta a bunch of different AI softwares, and this is not to knock any of the agencies out there. They do a lot of great work as it pertains to efficiency-based advertising. Vendo's approach is growth, right? And when you look at the scalability and the functionality of the Amazon algorithm, it was not an algorithm that was designed to be stacked, right? It wasn't designed to say, hey, here's our algorithm, take this other algorithm and put it on top of it. And then potentially even in certain AI scenarios, take another one and put it on top of that, right? Maybe in the Amazon of 10 years ago when there was like one lever to pull, probably. But now inside each campaign, inside each keyword, you have multiple different levers to pull. And what ends up happening a lot of the times when we get brands from AI softwares is we immediately see an improvement in overall performance, right? How are your total sales looking? And that's largely because the AI softwares usually get a singular input as it pertains to what a goal is, lower ACoS, right? Okay, good. So then they're going to lower ACoS. But oftentimes, if you're not looking at some other types of metrics that we're looking at, cost per acquisition, total ACoS, other types of metrics, total ACoS by SKU, et cetera, then you're losing out on some of that potential. You're stripping the Amazon algorithm of its capabilities and you're giving it to a third-party software. Why not use the first-party software when it is arguably, maybe outside of Google's, the best advertising algorithm out there? So it's powerful enough. Amazon's profit incentive is to drive as many sales as possible. They want your ads to convert because the more they convert, the more you spend, the more they get on both ends of the equation. They get the CPC and they get the referral bonus or fee as well. So that's our approach towards AI. There are great softwares out there, but largely when it comes to growth, when it comes to growing your brand and selling more, manual management has proven time and again to work better for us.
Well, a ton of actual intelligence shared here by Gefen on the podcast. And as you guys can tell, just as far as overall knowledge of advertising, there is no one second to Gefen really here on the Vendo side. And just really within the industry as far as I believe. But Gefen, really do appreciate you joining us here today, and we'll make sure to have you back. I know we've had plenty of members of your team, but it's also always great to hear from you as well. So thank you, and we will talk to everyone soon.
I love it. Thank you, Delaney.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.